It is 21 degrees outside today and it's 55 in here. So this should feel balmy, but no, it feels colder than usual in here. So this is going to be a quick episode. We're going to talk about what's the difference between Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris. The answer to that coming up next. Hello and welcome to Wine This Week with Scott Leek. So what's the difference between Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris? Well, genetically speaking, absolutely nothing. They are the same grape. They are a mutation off of Pinot Noir that happened centuries ago in just kind of a naturally occurring way. Gris in French means gray. So unlike Pinot Noir, which is dark, this is Pinot Gris, and it actually does come through a little bit when you look at the grapes because they don't really look like white wine grapes and they don't really look like red wine grapes either. They're kind of this, depending on where they're grown and their conditions, maybe a little pinkish or purplish, sometimes kind of blue, or maybe even with a gray silver hue to it. So hence the name Pinot Gris. And this does affect the wine a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a moment here as well. But winemakers can put whatever they want on the label, and you'll find a little bit of a difference based on geography and in style as to what they put on the label. In Italy, it's almost always called Pinot Grigio. And if you just think about the word Grigio, it just sounds like an Italian word. And when you think about the Italians, you may be thinking laid back, enjoying themselves, not toiling too much, and just really enjoying a nice, simple, easy drinking, crisp, refreshing white wine. And that's kind of the style you're going to find most of the time if it says Pinot Grigio on the label. Pinot Gris, on the other hand, is the style you're going to find in France. It's going to say that pretty much exclusively when you look at a label in French. And if you think about the snooty French winemakers, and I know I'm generalizing, they're generally nice people, but let's just assume that stereotypical snooty French person, and they're toiling over the grapes. They're working really hard at it. The climate's a little different. They're making fuller, sometimes more viscous, heavier, sometimes riper fruited wines. And so that is a little bit of a different style you're going to find in a region like Alsace in France with a Pinot Gris. In Germany, they call it something completely different, and it looks like this, and I'm not even going to bother to say it because it doesn't matter. You're not going to find it here in the US anyway. In a place like Oregon, more often than not, it's called Pinot Gris there. Other places in the world, it's called Pinot Grigio. Again, it's really up to the winemaker to call it whichever they want, but think of those two differences between the French and the Italian and how they make their wine, and what that label might give you a clue at as to the style, because this one here I'm expecting to be maybe not as fruit forward as one that said Pinot Gris on it, because this is a Pinot Grigio from Italy today. So let's get started talking about what this one tastes like. Today's wine is a Pinot Grigio from 2019. This is from the Alto Adige region in Italy. The producer is Cantine di Ora. And oh, look at this. We've got a nice gold label that says this scored 96 points according to, I don't even want to try to say that, some Italian association I've never heard of. It doesn't matter what they scored. So this is 13% alcohol. Oh, this is helpful. So it says on the back here, white wine. It's a good thing because, just looking at the bottle, I thought maybe this was going to be green wine. No. So I cheated. I should have done color first. This is fairly pale in color, and what you can find. Oh, there's a little effervescence in there. That's kind of cool. So yeah, fairly straw pale. There's some yellow to it, which I'm a little surprised by. I was expecting, because of the color of the skins. We talked about that earlier, being sometimes even a little bit closer to a red grape varietal than a white one in their color. I thought maybe we were going to see just a darker hue of the yellow, but no, that's not the case. But it's a lovely, nice pale. And, I cheated again. I already smelled it. This is nice, and very, from what I understand, I'm not a huge Pinot Grigio fan. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. It's actually a good wine, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the tip of the week right now. This is a good wine to pick when you're buying for a big group. So if you're at a restaurant and you're like serving 12 people or whatever, you're going to a party and you don't know what to bring, Pinot Grigio is one of the safest white wine bets because it doesn't have the butteriness that you might find in a Chardonnay that turn a lot of people off. Some people don't like the grassiness of Sauvignon Blanc. Some people might find Moscato or Reisling to be too sweet. This wine is really straightforward and doesn't have a whole lot of things to make it polarizing. So this is one of your safer bets, and it tends to go really well with a lot of foods. That this really makes me say one of your safest picks if you're picking for a bunch of people for white wine. So there you go, early tip of the day. Again, it's cold in here, I want to get out of here. Nice nose on this. I'm getting a little bit of salinity and minerality from it, which is nice. There's maybe some top tropical fruit, something in kind of that lemon and lime category as well, but maybe like a white peach or like a melon. There's something almost herbal or some type of spice I'm not quite able to identify. It's right there on the tip of my tongue and I can't come up with it. I'll probably taste it here in a minute. Here we go. Yeah, Pinot Grigio just doesn't have a whole lot. You really gotta spend time thinking about it if you want to really enjoy it and nerd out on it. But if you want to just sit and sip a white wine and not really think about it, this is such a good choice. So this is off dry. It's not bone dry, but it's off dry. This isn't anywhere in the sweet range. Off dry, the acidity level is great. It's not over the top. It's not really that zinging, just cut your palate with a razor blade kind of, Sauvignon Blanc style of acidity. So I'm going to go kind of medium on the acidity level on this. And these can range from kind of medium to very high, but this is kind of a medium acidity level. And on that sweetness factor, if you get a Pinot Gris from Alsace, there are late harvest versions of it. So those can get very honeyed. There might have some botrytis in the making of it. So they can get very honeyed, they can literally get sweeter. They can be very full-bodied and almost like oily and full in their texture, particularly if they went through malolactic fermentation. I don't believe this one did. Good body on it though. I'm gonna call it, fairly light-bodied. It's not. I don't have a whole lot of weight to it, but I'd say slightly heavier body than a typical Sauvignon Blanc has. And for the flavor intensity, yeah, just perfect acidity. I really like the acidity on this. Juicy without that cutting. So flavor intensity is fairly mild. I'm gonna go, medium low on the flavor intensity. It's nice. It's just not, it's not gonna punch you in the face the way some other wines do. That kind of lemon lime, I'm gonna go like a honeydew melon that I'm getting in there. Maybe a little bit of like a Bartlett pear, a yellow pear, which again isn't necessarily one of the more flavorful fruits. Pleasant, but just not super intense. So yeah, overall good wine. The finish is pretty pleasant on this. It's not overly long, but a good finish on it. So we're sitting at probably, balance, the fruit with the acidity level fairly well balanced, because it's not overly high in either one. So that works. The length of the finish is sufficient. I'm gonna go 15, 20 seconds on the finish. The intensity, like I said, not terribly high. The complexity, not terribly high. I'll go 5.5 points on this. Perfectly fine. If, 1 to 10 scale, 1 sucks, 10 is awesome, perfect. 5 is an average, very drinkable wine. So I'll go 5.5 scoring this. It's not unpleasant. I will drink some more of this. This will go well with a lot of foods. And the nice thing about the Pinot Grigio, Pinot Gris of the world, they are very, very food friendly. They're good to drink on their own. They're good to drink with food. So this would be great, particularly summertime, salads, vegetables, good light fish dishes. This would be a great aperitif, good with just appetizers. So first the wine, this makes me think of like Jazz on the Green type of bottle of wine. So if that's what you're looking for, this is a great move, and usually you can get it for a pretty good price. I think I paid about $15 for this one. So I'm not sure how many bottles of this the reviewer had before they scored it 96 points. I don't get that at all. But it's well made, it's enjoyable. I'm not gonna say this is not a good wine. It's just not, it's not doing it for me. This isn't normally what I go for, which is why very few of the bottles behind me are Pinot Grigio. So it is worth trying, and I would recommend, make sure you try both styles. Try a Pinot Gris, try a Pinot Grigio, see if you can notice a difference, and maybe one of those two styles stands out to you more than the other. Thank you for watching another episode of Wine This Week. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe. Join me next week as we move on to one of the best wines in the world, in my opinion, Pinot Noir. Until then, keep trying new wines, and as always, cheers.